where I come out as a businessman, I will take the devil I know over the devil I don't know any time of the week. I absolutely do not know what Vice President Biden will do. I haven't heard anything coherent.
Black Entertainment Television founder Bob Johnson says he views the election through the eyes of a businessman. So the back and forth over the president and the Proud Boys group and questions about white supremacy, though, for some African-American voters, well, they're bewildered.
Choice of words were very peculiar, strange. Trump supporters might say he just made a mistake, he just worded something wrong. Some people might be like, that's what he really believes. It didn't make too much sense, really.
Well, we are honored to have our next guest weigh in on questions of racial unrest and the way it is shaping this election year. Kay Coles James. He's the president of the Conservative Heritage Foundation. Good to have you back, Kay.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm very good. I want to read something I ran across today from the Battle Creek Inquirer, this article that says, what does it mean to be a black Republican in Battle Creek? Talking about the situation in Michigan. It says among registered voters in 2018 to 2019, only 5% of black voters identified as Republican, according to a survey of more than 12,000 registered voters conducted by the Pew Research Center. That's compared to 65% of black registered voters who identified as Democrat and 26% who identified as independent. And Kay, in the article, they talked to some more conservative black Americans and folks who identify themselves as leaning towards the Republican Party in this article. But they talk about the fact that they've spent their whole life with their family and everybody they knew being strictly aligned with the Democratic Party, and that they're taking a lot of heat for sort of venturing into a different way of thought. How in the world do you change voters' minds looking at these percentages and these numbers?
Well, Shannon, quite frankly, as the president of the Heritage Foundation, I have the privilege of representing conservatives of all stripes, of all manner of diversity, and it's a great honor to do that. I think that the message that we have is a clear message, and it's a message that appeals to all Americans, be they black or white. We don't engage in identity politics. We tell our story, we talk about great policy, and we attract people based on that.
Well, and it was interesting because in that particular article, there were a couple of men. One of them is a state lawmaker there in Michigan, and he said that's what it was for him, that he grew up with a strong faith. And even though he had been sort of brought up in a household full of Democrats, that he was pulled towards the Republican platform because for him, it was more aligned, and for his wife, where they were in their personal faith on issues of abortion and some other things. So how do you sell those ideas, like you said, to a diverse group of voters?
Well, you know, I think that in the package that you used introducing this particular segment, you had a businessman who said he looked at it from a business perspective. I look at it from a policy perspective. I think what's most important for Americans right now is to figure out what kind of country we want. And this, as Ronald Reagan said, is a time of choosing. We can have an America where we respect our police, where we support and fight for a strong national defense and limited government. We can have an America where we respect our founding documents. We can have an America where the Supreme Court is safe and not going to be used for political purposes, or someone is interested in packing the court. We want an America where every vote counts, and our founders gave us a way to do that through the Electoral College, and we want to know that's safe. So it's a time of choosing for what kind of America we want. And at the Heritage Foundation, we've decided that we have a clear vision for what we believe is the best course of action for America, and we're going to fight for that. And that's why we're launching this new campaign, by the way, that will encourage Americans to think about what is the America that they want, and are they willing to go out and fight for that America and vote for that America.
And you touched on so many hot button issues there, from law enforcement to voter fraud, those issues, every vote counting. You all have really taken a lead on that, but you've also had some critics who have tried to use your own numbers against you. So I want to put those out there and get your response. Robert Reich, who's a former labor secretary, a Democrat, he says this: the right-wing Heritage Foundation, after examining 36 years of mail-in ballots, found only 1,285 cases of voter fraud out of nearly 2 billion votes cast, a rate of 0.0000007. I might have added a zero in there. Percent. That's about the same probability as being hit by an asteroid. So when you say you want to make sure that every vote counts, what does that mean?
Well, what that means is, in a critical time like this, with the chaos that exists out there right now, we want to make sure that not only is voter fraud not an issue, but also make sure that the mishandling of ballots isn't an issue. Every American wants their vote to count, and you can go to the Heritage Foundation and look at our website and see the confirmed cases that we have documented across the country. And I think, our ideas are strong enough that there is no reason to. We don't want to suppress any vote whatsoever. We want every American to vote, and we want every American's vote to count. But we want to make sure that every American has the opportunity to cast their vote in a way that they know that it's secure and they know that it is going to be counted.
And I would hope that every American who's watching this, or not watching, would feel the same way. I think that's something we can agree on. Okay, I want to read something that shocked me today, this headline, and quickly get a response from you. Politico: Americans increasingly believe that violence is justified if the other side wins. And it's a bunch of researchers who go on to say about 1 in 5 Americans with a strong political affiliation say they're quite willing to endorse violence if the other party wins the presidency. I mean, Kay, where are we in America now that number's out there?
That's a very sad number, and I think the other 4 out of the 5 of us have got to stand up, got to speak up, and got to say that that is not the American way. Violence never resolves anything, and we have a form of government and an opportunity to work through the legal system if there are challenges. Violence never works. It's never the answer. It's not the American way.
Kay Coles James, always great to have you with us. Thank you so much for your time.